Federal government reconstructs vandalized transmission tower. Nigerian stocks on steroids as Chinese stocks jump. Data shows China's inflation in April heated up above expectations, plus oil turns higher on looming EU ban on Russian oil. This is Business Express on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I'm Leah Katung. Babatunde, you're welcome. Three weeks after it was brought down by vandals, federal government has reconstructed the transmission tower in Aquarium State to supply power to the South region. Joshua Ojito reports that the ministerial delegation on inspection of the reconstruction work says the line will be energized in the next 1 week.
More than 400 megawatts of electricity lost from the national grid as a result of the vandalism, disrupting power supply in Cross River State and other franchise areas. Federal government says power supply must be restored, and the agency in charge, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, on its toes in the last 3 weeks to fix the damaged infrastructure. Transmission tower mounted and work to energize the line in progress, expected to be delivered in 1 week. On the mandate of the Power Minister, the Executive Director, Transmission Service Provider of TCN, Victor Adewumi, assesses progress of work.
The tower is back. We are doing everything to make sure that this tower is completed and supply gets back to the public. So we are appealing once again to the general public that all the critical infrastructures that passes through their area, they should take ownership.
Carefulness must be exercised, because if in the course of drawing this conductor, it slips, it goes straight to the swamp. And if the tension is very high, it can drag it towards the river, and that becomes the most dangerous one.
While federal government is engaging communities to take ownership of critical infrastructure against vandals, there are plans to deploy technology in safeguarding power infrastructure nationwide. Joshua Ojito.
As part of efforts towards the implementation of the Medium-Term Development Plan 2021 to 2022, the Ministry of Budget and National Planning is engaging relevant regional organizations for the purpose of tracking progress made in advancing regional growth in the country. Minister in charge of the ministry, Claire Magba, while meeting stakeholders on the project, reiterated the need for urgent development at the subnational levels.
The plan envisages a rural development that is not just tied to agriculture. So, and the plan speaks to integrated rural development, where we begin to take all types of infrastructure to the rural areas. When I say all types, not just rural roads, we are talking of power. And because of the challenges that we have with transmission, we are looking at off-grid power, because that's what can quickly be put in place for our people in the rural areas.
Now, it's been a mixed trading week on the Nigerian equities market. After a negative close on Tuesday, investors went home smiling this Wednesday as the market appreciated. The NGX All-Share Index climbed 1.99% to close at 52,838.45 basis points, and market capitalization advanced to 27.9 trillion naira. 417 million shares valued at 7.331 billion naira were traded in 7,255 deals. Jais Bank, Transco, and international breweries were the top traders in terms of volume. So we move to the business of the day, and we're going to be talking more on the developments in the capital market. And joining me is the immediate past president, Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, Mr. Olatunde Omolekbe. You're welcome, Mr. Olatunde, to Business Express.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Great. So how is Lagos this afternoon rather?
Great, as usual. Very fine weather, and people are going about their business as usual. So we're happy.
Okay, and business is turning out quite positive, I must say. The all-share index, of course, just a little notch below 2% rise. And today we're seeing an almost 53% gain. What will be the push and pull factors for this trend?
This really is what we expected, and we actually predicted this during our outlook, our review and outlook for 2022 that we had at the beginning of the year at CIS. The expectation is that the country is going out of the COVID restrictions. Consumption is increasing. Companies are increasing their capacity to produce, and so that is reflecting in the bottom line of the quoted companies we are seeing. So the results we saw, the corporate results we saw for 2021 for most companies, it turned out to be very good, and we are seeing that trend continuing in the first quarter too. And we cannot forget also, of course, also the impact of increase in prices due to inflation that is passing through to customers. And this is also, in fact, impacting turnovers and gross income for companies. And those are all the factors that are, being priced into the share price we are seeing. So our expectation is that prices will probably continue to rise in the stock market. So if investors are happy now, I suspect that by the end of 2022, most of them will be smiling to the bank.
Okay, so is it right to say that inflation we're complaining about in the market space also has its advantages in this case?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We mentioned at the beginning of the year that as investment experts, we know that in a high inflation environment such as ours, the place to be as an investor will be the equity space, because typically other asset classes do not necessarily factor in inflation in their pricing, and then this is what we've seen. And then so while your average consumer is complaining about inflation, those consumers that have also been smart enough, if you will, to have their savings in the stock market, have been able to ameliorate those increases in costs because they've also witnessed growth in their investment, in the value of their investment, to sort of balance out what they are suffering in terms of higher prices in the marketplace. So it's a double-edged sword. Changes in purchasing power, but at the same time increase in investment value to balance it out.
Okay, so if I'm going to come in here, could you tell us where exactly are investors going? What is attracting them, and any effort by CIS to incorporate teaching of securities and investments into tertiary institutions and the likes?
We will, at CIS, our aim is to continue to increase the knowledge regarding securities and investment, not only for our members, but for the general public at large, because we realize that as professionals, we will not really have anything to do unless investors actually buy into what we're telling them. So, as much as investors have more knowledge to be able to want to challenge their savings into investments, we will do everything we can to increase investors' education. So, and that more often than not starts with ensuring the young and the younger at heart, those ones in tertiary institutions, are able to have the knowledge which they can also pass on to their parents. So you will see that, for instance, since sometimes early last year, we got the NUC to actually approve a BMAS. The BMAS is essentially a curriculum that enables our tertiary institutions to actually start to run degree programs in securities and investment in various universities. We have 2 universities already starting that. Mountaintop universities have already commenced, those degree programs. National State University, I believe, have also started. Our expectation is that by 2022, maybe up to 20 universities in the country will have actually started running those degree programs in securities and investments, and start, letting our youth know more about what investment is about and how to help their parents to channel their investments towards profitable investments. So we expect more of that to happen before the end of 2022 and beyond.
So, what would be the space? What is the representation of the young persons? You've been talking about young people getting into the investments and securities space, the millennials, the Generation Zs. How are they performing in our capital market, and what is that gap they will be needing to bridge?
The truth is that the average age of stockbrokers in the country right now is something in the region of 50.
Wow.
We at the CIF realize that is really not sustainable in a country where the bulk of the population is probably under the age of 30 or 35. So we do realize the need to really bring our youth into the profession, because at the end of the day, that is what is good for the economy of the country. So, and we also realize that the way by which the youth get information, the way they learn, is different from the way my generation learns. For instance, I mean, the youths, they are on their computers, they are on their laptops, they are on their tablets most of the time. So to expect that, they will always be able to come to class, to come and sit down and learn might not be practical. So what you've seen is that what CIS have done is to transit most of our training online, actually. And because it's been transited online, it is cheaper, it is more accessible. So irrespective of where you are, you could access our training. Secondly, we've also transited our examinations online too. So you could take our examination on a remote basis. So irrespective of where you are, as long as you have the interest, be you in the US, be you in Canada, whatever it is, you can access our training materials. You can register online, and you can take the examinations online. And also, you will see that even the industry itself is also transiting online. Most of the training that you are seeing is being done for the comfort of investors' homes. So people don't have the cost to actually go to a physical stock exchange anymore. So the industry is playing its part to try and meet the youths where they reside, which is online, which is on their computer, on their laptops, by transiting, our training and our capacity building to those platforms where they can access it and also make it available to them. And I think that in the last 2 years, we are seeing an upsurge in interest from the youths in this industry particularly, and in the stock markets in general. An example of that is the youth participation we saw in the MTN digital offer. That was the first digital offer in the country. Over 100,000 people participated in that offer, and most of them participated online, meaning that most of them are youths. So the interest is there, and so it is just for us as leaders of the industry to tap into that interest and get more of them to key into it. And we believe that long run is in the interest of the company, of the economy at large.
Okay, so while we look towards tapping into the youth full potentials, and I'm glad you mentioned that the average age there is 50. So since I'm below 50, it means I still fall into that category. But that's just an aside comment. But let's take this serious now. What is the sort of collaboration you're having with other regulatory bodies and institutions? And then to what extent can Nigerian stockbrokers compete favorably with their counterparts in other jurisdictions?
I'll take the first part, the second part of your question first. Regarding ability to compete, the training our stockbrokers get in Nigeria compares with any similar body in the world is offering. So, and that is why you see our qualified stockbrokers, they go out there, they take other examinations for other bodies, and they come out in flying colors. Now, regarding collaboration, that is an aspect of our duty in CIS that we take very seriously. So you see that we have strengthened our collaboration with the Chartered Institute of Securities and Investment in the UK, for instance. So a chartered stockbroker in Nigeria that qualifies can go to the UK, just take a few exams, and you'll be able to practice in various aspects of the capital market in the UK, and that also goes for Europe. We've collaborated with the Chartered Institute of Investment Advisors in Switzerland, such that we have reciprocity with them, and our members here in Nigeria. All right, so that is internationally. Locally, we will also continue to work with institutions that have similar objectives such as ours, Chartered Institute of Bankers, Chartered Institute of Taxation, and such bodies, and we have also focused on trying to ensure that the knowledge of the capital market is not really restricted to only one portion of the country. And that is why recently we entered into discussion with the Northern Nigeria Development Corporation. And that is a body that is made up of, that is formed by the 19 northern states of the country. And the idea is to spread the gospel of the capital market, the gospel of securities and investment to the northern parts of the country, which at the present time is essentially underrepresented in the capital market. And the issue regarding savings and investment in the country has to be a nationwide affair. It cannot be an affair that is restricted to only one part of the country. It doesn't do the economy any good. All right, so that we are really, really proud of that collaboration with NNDC, and we believe that at the end of it, it will see the growth of the capital market, particularly in that area of the country.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Olatunde. I've been speaking with Mr. Olatunde Amolegbe. He is the immediate past president, Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, and joined us from Lagos. Thank you for coming on the program.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Great. You have a nice day.
I wish you the same.
Gold prices eased on Wednesday to a 3-month low as an elevated dollar continued to restrain bullion while investors await monthly U.S. inflation data, which could have some impact on the Federal Reserve's monetary policy stance. Let's take a trip to the commodities market. Oil rose on Wednesday following a 9% drop over the previous two sessions and supply concerns as the European Union worked on gaining support for a ban on Russian oil, and major producers warned they may struggle to fill the gap when demand improves. Reuters reports that Brent crude rose 1.4% to $103.88 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude climbed 1.2% to $100.99 a barrel. Both contractors fell more than 1% in early trade. And of course, it is a mixed fortune for markets in Asia Pacific as European markets climb with sight on U.S. inflation data. Let's join Boss Day Abel for updates on global stocks.
Hello and welcome, and this is the Global Market Review. Now, investors are looking ahead to U.S. inflation data for April this Wednesday, which is expected to come in slightly below 8.5% of March and could signal that inflation has reached a peak. U.S. stock futures were higher in early trading Wednesday ahead of the key U.S. inflation report. Futures on the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.89%, the S&P 500 1.16%, and the Nasdaq Composite also topped 1.52%. European stocks also advanced in early trade, with the DAX topping 1.23% at 13,702.13, FTSE 100 1.12%, and Francis CAC 40 also topped 2.04% to close 6,241.92. Shares in Asia were mixed as investors watched for market reaction to the release of higher than expected Chinese inflation data for April. Also, investor sentiment on Chinese stocks may have been lifted by positive developments on the Chinese COVID situation. Mainland Chinese stocks led gains regionally, with the Shanghai Composite topping 0.75% across 3,058.70. The Hang Seng Index also topped 0.97% at 19,824.57, while the Nikkei also appreciated by 0.18% to close 26,213.64. Stock markets in Africa are in mixed territory, with South Africa's GSE Africa Top 40 posting gains. Namibia and Ghana's GSE were negative, while other stocks were muted on Wednesday's trade. That's the Global Market Report. I am Boss Sede Abel.
Thank you, Boss today, Abel. And we move to the currency market, where the Naira is actually not trading fairly like the equities. It fell further against the US dollar on Wednesday morning at the peer-to-peer market, trading at a minimum of 602 Naira per dollar compared to 600 Naira per dollar recorded as of the same time yesterday. Meanwhile, the exchange rate at the parallel market remained stable at 590 Naira to a dollar. Let's now see how the Naira is exchanging for other currencies. And we end this edition of the program from the Morning Market. Remember, you can access all previous episodes of Business Express on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can also communicate with us on our various social media platforms. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, questions, and suggestions coming. Join us again Thursday morning for another episode. My name is Leah Katung Babatunde, saying God bless Nigeria and have a wonderful midweek.